Hey everyone, it's Gianna Lum at Convincing Crypto, where we keep you in the loop on all the latest trends and news on crypto and blockchain technology. Today, we have a very special guest on our show. We've got Dan Friedman. He's the CEO and founder of Zengate Global, and they just launched a token today, actually, called Palm. They have a platform called Palm Economy. If you want to wave at the camera, you can.
Sure, yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Dan. I'm the CEO and founder of Zengate Global. We are the creators of the Palmyra ecosystem and which is basically where the Palm token lives, was the lifeblood of the Palmyra ecosystem. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, and huge congrats on your public sale that just started today. Very lucky to talk to you on the day of your public sale. So yeah, I have a couple questions about just your journey and more about your project. So I like asking everybody, how did you even get into the blockchain crypto space? What was your experience like? And how did you get your project off the ground? What's your whole backstory?
Oh boy, that's a bit of that's been a bit of a trek. So originally, I got into the blockchain space around 2016, and well, I was in the blockchain space on on a personal level. I guess what is that the way to say it? On a personal level,
Sure.
on the amateur level. Before that, but professionally, I got into it in 2016 when I joined a company called Input Output. This is the company that built Cardano, eventually built Cardano. Back then, this was before mainnet launch, and I was actually one of the first people in the company. And so, uh, yeah, it was about maybe I think it was employee number 5, and right now the company's got hundreds of people, and many know it. If you're in the Cardano ecosystem, you know who Input Output is, obviously, of course. But back then, yeah, it was just the pre-sale of Cardano was just starting, and it was maybe a couple of months after Charles Hoskinson came up with the concept for Cardano. So super early on, and yeah, I was actually handling the pre-sale app. I was the project manager for the team that was developing the pre-sale app, which is basically the application that ran the entire pre-sale, everything from KYC to dispersing, for converting the vouchers later on when we went mainnet, to personal logins for people who bought the vouchers, to actual tooling for the company that handled KYC. So like everything was handled by this app. So we launched Cardano in the fall of 2017, out of Tokyo, actually, right here. And I'm in Japan. I'm in Osaka, as you can see. I know you can't see. It's
I
just
see an
trust.
American flag, so you could have fooled me.
Okay, well, I am American, so I'm representing. But I also have the Soviet thing back there with the space memorabilia. But anyway, I like space. Um, Yeah, and we launched it out of Tokyo in 2017. And so after we launched it, I switched gears to business development. And so I spun up the business development arm of Input Output, and eventually started working on a lot of developing economies. And so I was always a big fan of developing economies because that's really where you make the most impact. And so I worked in various countries. I worked in Eastern Europe, worked in Georgia. I worked out of Malta. Of course, that's not Western Europe, but it's Europe still. We also did a lot of work in Africa. We did a lot of work in Southeast Asia. And yeah, it was just very fulfilling because when you're on the ground, when your boots on the ground, you get to really see the impact that the technology can make and does make, because these are the countries where it's felt the most. And of course, many of us got into this movement not just because we wanted to, numbers go up, or although that is, it's good. But we also got into it because it spoke to us. It spoke to us. We're changing. It's disruptive. It's paradigm shifting. And so when you're there and you're working in a developing economy, you can feel that paradigm shift happening. which is very, as a professional, is fulfilling. And so I kept on working in developing economies and emerging markets. And so when it came time for me to do my own thing, to kind of get off on my own, I decided that that was the place where I wanted to keep working, and this is where the idea behind Palmyra was born, and this is actually what Zengate started, was born to be about. It was about 3 years ago when I started Zengate, and really was all about opportunity inclusion, as we call it. And essentially, what that is to give the people the tools and the opportunity to have access, and then let them take the next leap. And so, yeah, that's basically where it all came from. Started Zengate, then maybe a few months later, maybe not even a few months, a month later, my co-founder Sam Lambert came on board. Then my other co-founders came on board, and before you knew it, we grew, and today we're 25 strong and growing.
So you're really there, like from the very beginning. Did you have any skepticism with something that was so early, so new, and being one of the few people on the team from the very, very start?
Yeah, so if you're referring to
With
IOG or
IoG first, yeah.
input output
Yeah.
in Hong Kong back then. I mean, of course, I've been in, I've been in IT for, well, since the '90s. I
Mhm.
started as a developer. I worked for the good old boys, McGraw Hill. I worked for. We did work with Deutsche Bank. We did work with JP Morgan. I mean, it just, kind of working the old school gang. And so that's what I was used to. I was used to this corporate model where you understand, okay, so that's what you put in, that's what you get out. You put in development here, you put in marketing here, you get money out here. Um, and so when I just started looking at blockchain in general, and of course, even now these concerns are around, right? I mean, where's it coming from? Where's the wealth coming from? I mean, now we know where the wealth is coming from. It's not really, it's not really like, you know, um, it's not generated. It's just wealth transfer a lot of times, which is unfortunate. But not always, obviously, and this is why Cardano was different for me, because I kind of was at my first questions were, okay, so how does this company generate money? Like, what does it do? What does it do to make money? Because you can't just go and print your own money. Well, you can, but you know, the logical dude on this shoulder was saying, hey, you can't just print money. You have to generate something. And what they generated is an ecosystem. What they created is an ecosystem, and that's where that revenue came from, is the ecosystem that was born from creating Cardano, and of course the technology, and it answered itself. But of course I had my concerns when I didn't understand it, and then when I got it, I got it. Of course, it wasn't all like super bullish for almost 2 years before mainnet. There were times where like, ah, crap. Okay, are we going to be able to do this? Is this ever going to launch? I mean, are we ever going to go mainnet? And of course, on top of that, crypto is got like 10 times more drama than any other field, as and I'm being conservative here. And so, of course, you had, some people out there unhappy with whatever. Like, oh, yeah, no, these guys are a scam. It's never going to launch. They're not going to be doing anything. So, yeah, so it was kind of a wild ride. So I can't say that worried me. I never thought that we were doing something wrong, because we weren't. But it was, I was never in a space where this type of barrage of intense feelings were a thing, because in the traditional IT space, you just sit there, you build stuff, you have deliverables, you launch, you do beta testing, you do, whatever. .com was different from this. So yeah, I mean that was kind of it. I had these moments. I never really had a moment of doubt. Had a moment of concern, never had a moment of doubt. And yeah, we just overcame those and launched, and the rest is history.
Awesome. And then how did Zengate Global come to be? How'd you meet your team? And how did Palmyra become a thing?
Right.
The whole story of like finding your people for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Zengate Global is actually I came up with the name a long time ago. I came up with the name during the dot com boom. Actually, I came up with the name during the after the dot com boom, after when it crashed. And to really kind of give you context to it, um, I I was in the middle of the dot com boom and the dot com crash, and I saw both sides. I saw the side where we were building something that was really innovative and really changing the world. I mean, just changing it from what I even knew growing up in the '80s and the early '90s. It was a totally different world. And on the other hand, you had all these vaporware companies. They were kind of giving all this a bad name. And we have that in the crypto right now. You got all these, vapor coins out there that don't do anything, and still they launch and they pump and then they dump. It was kind of the same thing with IPOs back in 2099. At a certain point, you could have just slapped .com on something, showed some really nice presentation, and then go IPO and make millions. And then you would find out it's actually kind of like two guys in a basement somewhere. They don't do anything. It's not even a real company. I mean, it's a real company on paper, but it's not really a real company. It doesn't do anything. It's got no product, and that's actually what caused the crash. Is because a lot of these companies started to get vetted, and people started to ask these questions, and nobody could answer these questions, so it started to crash down. And so when I was in this kind of downfall of the dot com, I started thinking, it wasn't the scam. It wasn't all for naught. There was a lot of good that came out of this. And at that point, everybody's like, oh, screw this. This was all a scam. Dot com, internet, who cares about the internet? The internet's going to be dead. Nobody's going to care about it in 5 years. And I was there and said, well, that's BS. Of course, people are going to care about the internet. Of course, it's changed things. It changed things. Like you can't say that it's the same that it was 10 years ago. No way. No way. Different world. And so when I was in that place, I said, okay, so I like feeling that we're changing things worldwide. You're in the middle of a revolution type of feeling when I was working. And I was right in front of it. I wasn't just kind of like a guy using it. I was a guy building it. And I wanted to, but even back then, I wanted to have my life's work in a company that I create. And I was thinking to myself, what would be the name that represents that feeling of kind of wanting to exert innovation and exert, I guess, this paradigm shifting mojo that makes things happen and changes things. How to be a doer, how to be a disruptor. And the name Zen Gate popped into my head. And I know it might be just a little bit kind of cliche for some, but for me, it's a gate into where I have Zen. And the Zen comes from knowing that your life's work is changing things and creating a new world. And so this company was my vehicle to do so. It was my vehicle for my life's work to go out there and to make things better, to change things. It was my Zen gate because when I go through this gate, I'm going to be at a place of fulfillment. That's where the name came from. Now, and of course, it took me years to actually come up with a company that was worthy of that name. And so fast forward, got 20 plus years. I'm in the middle of this I'm in the middle of this crypto thing and blockchain thing, and I've been working at it for a bunch of years at that point. And I came up with Palmyra, again, a way to bring opportunity to emerging markets in many ways. And this just, I mean, of course, it expanded to a much bigger idea right now, but at that point, I was just saying, I worked in a lot of these emerging markets, and a lot of times it's producers that are the lifeblood of these markets. And a lot of times these producers are basically kept away from the opportunity of access. And blockchain technology can fix this. I know how to fix this. That's what we need to do. And so that's what we started doing. And so we always kind of tell the story. So Sam and I met on a floating turtle in the metaverse.
What?
Yeah, yeah. So back in I think 2020, yes, yeah, 2020 ish, 2021. Anyway, so this was during COVID, and I think it was 2020 ish. Yeah, no, 2020. Anyway, during COVID, there was a Cardano conference that was held in a metaverse, and
Oh, I
so
remember
this
that.
metaverse
Yeah.
was this. Yeah, this was like this kind of a World of Warcraft type of looking metaverse.
Hmm.
And at that point, I signed a contract for authentication of a beverage company, a spirits company out of New Zealand, out of Tasmania. Yeah, Tasmania. And Sam was watching my presentation, and that's where we met. We met in the virtual realm, and he reached out to me afterwards and just said, "Hey, Dan, I'm a big fan of what you do, and I want to be involved in anything that you decide to do on your own." And so we kept in touch. And he said, "Hey, if I need to." At that point, he was still in Australia. He's originally from Sydney. And at that point, he said, "If you need me, I can come out to Japan." Well, because he's half Japanese, so he actually has Japanese citizenship, and his mother's Japanese. So he says, "I can come out to Japan. I've always meant to come out to Japan, and to for a prolonged amount of time, I can come out there and build this with you." And so when it came to a point of where there was something to build, he came out and we started building Zengate. He joined literally, I think, not even a month later after created the company. And again, like I said, the rest is history. And that's been 3 years now, over 3 years now.
So I want to know, what's the first word you want people to think when they think about Palmyra? I know Zengate, you want people to have a sense of, okay, like it's calm now. I feel fulfilled. But for Palmyra, is there one word that you think you want people to associate with
Access,
that? Access.
access,
Okay.
access.
Do you think like
Um,
it's like at the palm of your hand, or how did that?
Well, so where Palmyra came from, the name came from. This is a bit of it's something that I only tell a select few in person when I see them.
Okay.
Somebody who I think it really gets what we're doing. I never actually tell it on camera. I'm sorry, but I'll give you a hint. So
Okay.
the name Palmyra has a very special meaning to me personally. It is a it is it's a reference to my adolescence, and it's a reference to a a place where I felt like anything, in a way, anything was possible or available for me, and so that's where the name came from. So maybe someday I'll let people know exactly where it came from, and it's not what many people think it is.
Cool.
But
Today I'll
again,
have
I
to go to
keep it
Japan
open.
and hear your full
Yeah,
story of Japan. I'll
yeah, I
have
keep
to
it
take a trip
open.
out
I
there.
keep it open because people say, "Come on, man, come on, tell me, tell me." It's like I don't think so. Maybe someday,
All
maybe someday.
right. Wanted attention. No, he's not. Even if you bark at him, he's not going to share over camera. He's not.
What kind of dogs do you have?
He's half Jack Russell, half Chihuahua.
Oh my God, I have two Jack Russell Terriers.
Oh,
Yeah, two full blood, and then I got a Jack Russell Westie mix.
lots of energy.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm saying. You know
Yeah.
how they are. You know how they are. It's like papa, 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 come on, papa, papa. But or mama in your case, but yeah. So I met Sam. We started working together, and at that point, I was also working with another guy that I knew from IOG, Mel. And so Mel worked with us for a while, but then he kind of went off to do his own thing. And but he did help the company quite tremendously in the beginning. So fast forward a little bit later, literally maybe another month or so later, another one of my old friends came on board, Nicholas Dispopoulos. He's another co-founder of Zengate. He's kind of he's dad. I mean, he's the same age as me, but he's dad because he takes care of all that boring stuff that the company needs to do that we just don't have time to do. Like tax filings and financial control and things like that. Yeah, and so he was there also from pretty much the very beginning. I've known Nico since I moved to Japan. He was like one of the first people I met, and so it's great to be working with him on this. And yeah, a little bit after, so I was already friends with Theo, or as he's known in the community, Chef Pool. Um, he is actually a professional chef by trade. And so Theodore, I met him originally over socials. And, he used to do his own little YouTube program, and I was on that program, I think maybe at least once or maybe a couple of times. And so we were friends. He's a very kind of, go getter type of person, very proactive, very business focused. And we finally got to meet during an event in Colorado at that point called Rare Bloom, which is now just Rare Evo. But the first one was called Rare Bloom. This was a few years back. And this was the first time I actually met Theo in real life. And yeah, of course, we already were friends at that point, but we really hit it off. And he started basically telling me, he says, "Look, I love what you're doing. I want to be a part of it. Tell me what you want me to do. I'll do whatever you need me to do to make this thing grow." And yeah, of course, we started working together, and he also came on as another co-founder eventually. And yeah, and he took care of many things: community engagement, socials. Now he actually is the head of business development at Zengate, so he wore many hats. Yeah, and so those are my co-founders. All of them do different flavors of what we need to do, what needs to get done, and together we're Captain Zengate.
Captain Zengate. Love that. So I want to know more about the token that you just launched on the public sale. Yeah, what are you trying to do with that? What's the benefit of it in the real world?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, public sale is live now. For those of you who would like to be a part of it, it's on a platform called T-1, and I'm sure we can give links later on. And so the Palm token, I mean, it does many things. It's your true utility token, and I'll tell you, it took Sam and I quite a bit of time to actually come up with even why we need a token. And because we're very, very skeptical about having a token, because there's just so many of them, they don't really do anything out there. And so we wanted to say, okay, if we're gonna say, if we're gonna have a token economy, it needs to be a um just an irreplaceable part of the ecosystem. It needs to have a reason, it needs to have utility. And so we thought about it for a couple of years and finally came up with it. The lifeblood of the Palmyra ecosystem, or what we call Palm economy. And so the token's got three main pillars. And so the first pillar is rebates and rebates on transaction fees. So essentially, what it is staking. Now, the reason why the rebates is the platform right now, as it is, generates always transaction fees in fiat. And this is because the commodity markets work in fiat. We're not gonna force crypto on them. There's a lot of regulations to get through. And so if we want to be able to work in the field now, we have to work with what they have. And so all these transactions are done in fiat. However, what happens after that is when the transaction fee is collected from the platform, we take a portion of that transaction fee and we actually buy Palm on the open market. and then redistribute that Palm as rebates back to the stakers. And so you can, of course, stake it without actually utilizing Palmyra, that app, as a producer or as a buyer. However, we encourage that. Um, but the rebates come for also for people who do utilize it. So essentially, if you're staking Palm, you will get a portion of your transaction fees back through staking. And for others, it's just passive income like that you would earn from staking and from securing the network, and from the ecosystem growing. And so essentially, it's for scaling the ecosystem. The second pillar is oracles incentives. You need oracles in an RWA ecosystem, and this is we are all about RWA. I mean, that's what it is. These are RWAs, these commodities. They're these tokenized commodities on chain. And every time you have RWAs, you have to have a strong Oracle network to be able to bring the information on chain. Because the information is only as good as its origin. Just because on a blockchain doesn't mean that information wasn't sour to begin with, and then you just moving around junk. So that's why an Oracle network, strong Oracle network, is crucial. We're doing this. We partner with Chainlink, which many of you know, and there's going to be other oracles that do different types of things. And so part of uh, uh, the Palm supply is going to go towards oracles incentives. So basically, paying oracles to do work for us to make sure that the information is clean going on chain, so that all these different things, all these beautiful things that we develop, like traceability, like on chain identity, like point of origin, and all these different things that they work in tandem with each other, are working with clean, clear information. Now, the third pillar, of course, not the least by any means, is the decentralized business development treasury, and so what we call the Palm DAO. Essentially, what it does is it gets we took pointers from Cardano Catalyst. And so the way it works is the community gets to vote on proposals. So say if you have a business development proposition for the ecosystem that will help the ecosystem grow, you submit a proposal to the Palm DAO. The Palm DAO votes on the proposal, and if the community feels that this is good, you will be given a grant to whatever the grant that you ask for, to build this business for the ecosystem. And so this is of course super super crucial for us. And the reason for this is because the community has always been very proactive with what we do. The community is always, it wasn't just saying, hey guys, you're doing a great job, but we kept, and we still do have people reaching out to us every week, almost every day, saying, hey guys, I know these olive oil producers in Greece that really need your technology. Guys, I know my uncle runs an apple farm in Canada, and we feel underserved. Can we utilize the technology? And so we said, well, we want to have an incentive for this. We love this. We want to have an incentive for people to actually participate and to do this and to get compensated for it. Hence, that's where the Palm DAO and the decentralized business development treasury part of the Palm economy came from. And so again, that's where Palm is also crucial. And of course, there's other utilities, like for example, being able to have access to different staking tiers. I'm sorry, to have access to different investment tiers in our STO platform, fractional ownership platform called Endeavor, that we just launched last month. And yeah, of course, there's going to be other utilities as well, but these are the main ones, and we're super excited about them.
So the way that your DAO works is that anybody who has the Palm token now has a vote, or how's that distributed right
Correct.
now?
Correct. So when it's launched, that's exactly what it's going to be. If you have Palm, you're going to be able to vote on a proposal, and the more Palm you have, the more powerful your vote is. And yeah, so Palm holders can participate in the DAO and have a say in how the ecosystem scales.
I want to know if you have any more stories about more of the underserved commodities that have been benefiting from palm. Are there certain industries that you think that are really untapped, and yeah, any countries in specific that you think have benefited the most so far from this?
Yeah, of course. Well, like I said, developing economies are the ones that benefit from this, and I'm just not just talking about early stage developing economies. I'm talking about places like advanced developing economies, like say for example Greece. Greece is, of course, we all know that Greece is not an early stage developing economy, but they're still a developing economy. And for example, Greece is a place where we're going to be having even more impact because of the access we're giving and bringing to the olive oil producers there. And so a couple of months ago, we onboarded Greek olive oil onto Palmyra. Greek olive oil is actually one of the most adulterated olive oils out there, counterfeited.
But Italy
Or
had the bigger problems, but I guess yeah, the whole industry.
Yeah, yeah, it's and that's not just. I mean, there's honey is the most adulterated one actually. We also on onboarding Zambian honey, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But Greek olive oil, it's highly gate kept, uh, highly highly diluted commodity, soft commodity, and this is causing serious damage to the producers. In fact, a lot of Greek olive oil that's out there with the label Greek olive oil in the supermarkets in the West is not Greek olive oil. It just says that, but it's fake. Um, and so what we did was we went to Greece. So Theodore went to Greece. He is Greek. And we went, they did a tour through Greece and they met with hundreds of producers. They brought them the technology. They said, this is how you do it. We listened to the producers. We listened to what their issues are. And this is the solution that they need. We brought them traceability. We brought them point of origin technology. We brought them RWA tokenization, which is basically the framework within this has to live. And I mean, they're super bullish on this, and you don't have to explain how the technology works because they understand what the technology does for them, and that is what's most important: how it changes your life. And yeah, and this is actually starting to solve a lot of problems. There are a lot of problems with access because they don't have access right now because there are large regions that can only sell to like one person. Literally one person will buy all the Greek olive oil and then do whatever with them. And this is not just in Greece. This is in other countries as well. Georgia is the same with wine. Georgia is one of the oldest wine producers in the world, and many times in regions like Haiti, which is a big wine producing region in Georgia, all the wine from all the wineries and the chateaus is literally sold to one or two brokers because all the access is kept by them. And that's because these wineries don't have the access, the decentralized, more democratized access to the global market um, that they should have. And so that's what Palmyra is all about. It's bringing that access, that opportunity inclusion. Um, Another really exciting onboarding that's going to be happening in the next few weeks is Zambian honey. And so, of course, we already onboarded Zambian honey. Zambia is the Switzerland of Africa, as it's called by some. And honey itself is actually one of the most adulterated. In fact, it is the most adulterated soft commodity out there. And the reason being is that there have been studies done that say that almost 80% of all honey out there is not real honey. 80%. Think about
What
that.
is it? Just sugar? Or is it like mostly just
It
like?
is sugar syrup. It is honey flavored sugar syrup.
Oh wow.
And so yeah, so this is a big problem.
It's not coming
This
from
is
the
a
beans
big
at
problem.
all.
And it's a big problem for somebody like Zambia who goes through all these different processes to get this honey, to harvest this honey, this real honey, and then they can't sell it because there's going to be these big boys out there saying, oh, we got better honey and it's cheaper, but it's not really honey. Excuse me. It's really dry in here right now, and I didn't bring any water. Um, yeah, getting back to honey. So what we're going to be doing actually, which is super exciting, is onboarding 20,000 beehives onto Palmyra. And these are thousands of beehive owners that are going to be utilizing Palmyra Pro for all these different things like point of origin, traceability, and just basically a way to immutably prove that what they have is the real deal. And so, and this is just scratching the surface of the impact that we're having. So we're super excited about all the movement that we're getting, and really looking forward to just scaling up and bringing more of this to the world.
I'm sure so many of those beehive owners can benefit from that too. And I was reading a sci-fi story actually. A friend of mine's a fiction writer, and she wrote something about like the future of beekeeping. And yeah, it was something similar to this actually, where you could keep track of everything with the bees, the temperature, you could keep track of their health.
That's actually, yeah, that's actually something that is going to be somewhat available through Palmyra because of our IoT devices that we're going to be utilizing for the traceability and reporting. And you could actually do that. You could report. You can do that now. You can report, beehive integrity, beehive temperature, different chemical compositions that are in the honey, all these different things that can be reported right now. So the future is now.
It is. It is. I have another question for you. I'm really interested in environmental sustainability. I know you're probably working with a lot of farmers too, but yeah, how's this project helping improve environmental sustainability or just sustainability in general?
Funny you should ask that. We actually went on a trip, a long trip, last month to Argentina. So recently, the past 6 months, made 3 trips to Argentina, and the reason being is Argentina is an amazing place right now for all these different things that are happening, and more specifically, Argentina is one of the largest producers and stockpiles of lithium out there in the world. And as many of you know, lithium is needed for everything electronic. There's lithium in that camera that's recording it right now, recording this. There's lithium in in your phone, in the batteries. I mean, everything. And so this is kind of the spice of the 21st century, and that's a Dune reference for those of you. Well, actually, no, you got the new Dune now, so I don't have to. I
Yeah,
don't
you
have
do
to.
also has it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the new generation also has Dune. I was kind of thinking about the early '80s Dune, but yeah. Anyway, um, and so what we did was we actually went on a mission to bring sustainability to the lithium industry out in Argentina. And so with our technology, the lithium producers that are utilizing our technology can build, they can extract lithium and produce lithium in a more sustainable way because many a times right now what's happening is some companies that are producing lithium or are extracting lithium in Argentina are doing it in an irresponsible way. They, for example, what they do is they will extract it because lithium is it comes in a brine that is extracted with water, and then it's separated, it sits in a pool, and it separates from the water, and then the water is pumped back out, and then the lithium, it becomes a lithium salt or lithium gel. Now, what happens is some companies just don't return the water, so they actually cause droughts. And they should return the water. There's no reason to keep the water. That you just need to put a couple of extra bucks to make sure that it is clean, because you don't want to be polluting the water supply because lithium is kind of poisonous. Or they'll return the water and it's going to not be cleaned. Then it's not going to be filtered, and then it's going to cause cancer in the local populace. is going to pollute the water, is going to pollute the drinking supply. There's things like, for example, the pools that they use to separate the lithium from the water. A lot of times, if they use the wrong type of lining, it'll seep into the ground and then is going to kill everything in that area. And these pools are huge, they're enormous. Um, uh, and it'll kill everything in that area for probably like 10 to 20 years. And even though it's the desert, we all know that the desert is still alive and there are animals there. There are actually people using it. For example, they also grow olives in a desert over there, in the same desert. It's a high desert. It's not like the Sahara. And so what you're doing is you're basically killing a way for people to generate income by doing this irresponsible mining practice. And so what we went out there to do is to understand exactly what's happening, to be on ground zero of where this problem is happening. We spoke to the people, we met with mining facilities, and we actually started working with many mining operations to utilize traceability, to utilize IoT devices, to utilize transparency in order to bring a more sustainable way to source lithium in Latin America. And so this is just one of their latest pushes for sustainability. Another one is, so right now there is a regulation called EUDR that's just about to go into play in Europe. Is the European Deforestation Regulation. And so Europe put this in to make sure, and one of the main stipulations of this regulation is traceability. So products that are going into Europe need to have they're mandated to have traceability. It's not all soft commodities, but there is a group of soft commodities that have to have traceability attached to it. It's mandated, and this is due, of course, to make sure that the practices that the producers use are sustainable practices, and they're not being wasteful. They're not causing harm to the environment when they're producing these commodities. And if you actually don't comply with EUDR, you can be banned from selling in the EU forever. So this is not just like one of those things like, oh yeah, you screwed up, try to do better next time. It's like, no, no, no. You do right the first time, or you can't sell to the EU. And that's a big problem. That's a big issue to many producers. And the problem that everybody was facing was that there was no real way to have they didn't have the tooling to comply with this. They didn't have the tooling for the traceability, for the point of origin that they need, for the monitoring that they need to comply with this. And so that's where Palmyra Pro came in. That is the tooling that they need to be able to comply with EUDR and to be able to source to the EU. And this has been a big hit through within our producer community. And this is number one. It is making a positive impact on the way the producers are working, because they're going to be able to properly source commodities, soft commodities, to the EU, and it's also helping this environmental regulation be abode, whatever the word is, helps this
Provided?
regulation be
Yeah.
observed. Yeah, anyway, English is hard. Um, it helps the regulation to be observed, and in a sense that is better for the environment. So, and these are just some of the examples how our technology it helps sustainability, helps environmental positivity and whatnot.
And it's more ethical too. And
Absolutely.
yeah, you think about just like, yeah, the economies that are being affected by extracting all this water, but also the animals too. Like it's not just the people, it's the entire ecosystem
Yeah, of
be
course,
affected
of
by
course. I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
alpacas. Like
Mhm.
there's a large population of alpacas that live in the Jujuy and the Salta deserts in Argentina. And alpaca is also some we use they use alpaca fur for clothing, and alpacas are just a big part of ecosystem out there, and you poison the ground around, he's going to kill all these alpacas. So, and that's just one animal.
Well, yeah, thanks for explaining that. I think that's the most comprehensive explanation of really how the whole lithium industry and how blockchain can be used for the lithium industry. So yeah, I'll definitely be sharing that part with people who aren't even in blockchain and interested in that industry and interested in like the future of technology and yeah, like how do we keep it growing in that way, but also how do we not extract too much from these ecosystems, from the people, and protect the people who live there so that they can keep thriving. One last question I have for you. I want to know just why Cardano? And I know you're also working with Chainlink too, and probably expanding to other blockchains. But yeah, what are your favorite things about Cardano?
Um, why Cardano? Well, number one, because I was part of the team that launched Cardano. So
Very true.
she's my baby. Um, so of course I want to build in this ecosystem. I love the ecosystem. The community is amazing. And in today's world, without community, you just can't do most things out there to really have the impact that you want to have. And the Cardano community is amazing. They've always been super supportive of everything we're doing, and they're engaging with us in a proactive way. Like I said, they're the reason why the Palm DAO is in effect. And so that's one of the many things that I love about Cardano. Of course, the other one is the technology. It's a lot more. I guess it makes a lot more sense to do things like traceability, like RWA tokenization, and an EUTXO stack from various reasons. For example, of how the actual assets are created. Also because of low transaction fees, because of the security of the network. All these different things that are just a big value add for us as a business, because time is money, and the more time you spend trying to fix these things, the more money you spend. And if you want to have to fix these things, if these things are ready from the get-go, then that's just good business for us. We're also utilizing the Ergo platform, the Ergo blockchain, which is kind of I guess well, they're part of the UTXO Alliance. I'm also a strategic advisor to the Ergo Foundation. And Ergo is another UTXO blockchain that also has a plethora of amazing tooling, things like privacy tooling, things like tokenization tooling that we can utilize and work between Cardano and Ergo pretty much seamlessly. Yeah, we're also utilizing Chainlink for oracles and are going to be utilizing their proof of reserve, CCIP. We're also speaking to VeChain right now for IoT devices, and we'll potentially be utilizing their IoT devices for many things, Palmyra. And of course, there's other ones. Another one is actually our friends at World Mobile just launched their own blockchain, the World Mobile chain, which we're also looking to utilize for various things. Palmyra, where they are our partners. And that is, that's also an amazing community. That is our community as well. And so we're very excited about all these different things, and we're excited about being able to work with all these different ecosystems, all these different blockchains, and utilize. You know, it's the right tool for the right job. It's not about tribalism. Tribalism is never gonna. It's not sustainable. What we need to think about is the right tool for the right job, and that's what it's all about. All these blockchains that we're utilizing: Cardano, Ergo, Chainlink, possibly VeChain. We're utilizing IPFS right now. All these are just the right tools for the job that we need to do to bring this opportunity inclusion to the people out there utilizing the Palmyra platform. Like I said, at the end, they don't really care what's under the hood. They don't need to care what's under the hood. All they have to care about is how it makes their life easier and how it solves a problem that they have, and how this is a solution that has come to fix a problem that they have, and not the other way around. It's not a solution looking for a problem to solve. So that's what we're all about.
For sure. Yeah. I really appreciate you sharing the benefits and the strengths of all the different blockchains you're working with too. For sure. Like we don't need this tribalism, and there's reasons why you chose to work with World Mobile for a certain thing, but Chainlink like for the oracles. And yeah, I think people need to just say like they need to change the narrative that it's not one blockchain over another. It's everyone in the blockchain community just trying to make the world better as a whole. And yeah, the more we work together, I think the better. So
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you, Dan, for all of your wisdom. This has been a really amazing call. I want to know, how can we continue to support you? Are there any last words you want to share with our audience here today?
Of course. Well, first of all, join the public sale if you can. It's
Mhm.
happening. It's happening now. It's your opportunity to be part of the great birth of the Palm economy. You can also check out the platform at Palmyra, that app. Follow us on our socials. Join our Discord. And look, just reach out to us for anything. We are, we're reply guys and gals. So yeah, just any kind of engagement that you can give us, and I'm talking about communicating with us, giving us your feedback, participating in what we have, participating in Palm economy. I mean, that's what we need, and that's what we'd like from you. And we hope that you will, you'll be a part of our community.
Awesome. And I'll link all your links down below so they can reach out, they can get involved, they can learn more and do the research before if they want to get involved with the public sale. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Gianna. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, it's super exciting right now. It's a very exciting time. I mean, this is like the morning after the start of the last leg. And oh,
Mhm.
by the way, for those of you who have joined the public sale who are holding Palm, oh, by the way, you can also actually get your Palm through the ISPO that we have right now in Palm One, and also through our partner pools. So you can do that if you have some ADA that you'd like to stake and earn your Palm. You can do that. We also are going to be coming out with staking right as soon as we launch. So that's going to be an amazing thing for people to be able to utilize. We're also going to be listed on several major centralized exchanges as well as dexes. Again at the gate. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff happening. A lot of exciting stuff happening for Palm holders, and again, we're thrilled to have all you guys on board.
I'm sure a lot of people watching here will like to join. I think this really brings real value in the real world. It brings real utility. And yeah, that's what we're all about here. So yeah, thank you, Dan, and we'll definitely keep in touch.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's it for us today. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. Feel free to share this with your friends if you know this content. And we'll see you next time, everyone. Bye. Wave again, too.